everybody. Today is Thursday, October 9th, 2014. And this is For the First Cup with Jules and Zori on UCY.TV. Good morning, Zori.
Good morning.
Hey, I think Lady Pimple's here now, too.
There she is.
I'm here now.
Yay, good morning.
Yay. How are you?
Good. How are you? You survived the birthday?
I did.
Happy belated.
Thank you. I just bought mop gear for my birthday.
Mop?
Yeah.
Hazmat?
Yes. Yes. Yay, happy hazmat suit.
That's pretty sad, you know?
I know, dude. I'm just going, shit, I gotta do this. I mean, there's that one of the deputies that was in his freaking apartment is now exhibiting symptoms. I mean,
and an Australian nurse now.
No.
Yes, down in Australia, came back from Ebola-ridden country. I knew that was going to happen. I saw last night, too, that they now have isolated someone who came in from Liberia at LAX in Los Angeles as well.
Well,
that's too close.
Mothership.
Yeah, spreading it to the four corners of the globe.
And you know, that cop, the deputy down in Texas, we had watched a clip when that happened, and they were saying that all the soiled sheets and everything, and I mean, the whole apartment was loaded with all the soiled materials, and hazmat teams were walking in and out, and the human health director had 3 deputies, I believe it was, in the apartment with no protective gear on, discussing the case. And then when they finally transported the family, the Duncan's family, to a separate location, and this was a few days later, they transported them in a car where no one had any protective gear. Again, and by the way, it happened after we got off air. Duncan died.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, he was transported for that second round when he went back to the hospital in an ambulance, which they kept in service for 2 freaking days after he had puked all in it.
I don't know if he puked in it. He puked outside, which they finally cleaned up days later.
No, he had puked in the ambulance too.
I saw them cleaning it outside, and there were little kids standing there watching.
Jeez.
It's unbelievable. I started ripping through some of the videos last night that I had missed over the weekend, and I was like, oh my God, the entire apartment complex, they never cleared any of those people out. Everybody was
just
feet
told
away.
To stay in their apartments.
If
they weren't told to stay in their apartments.
Oh, they weren't.
Oh, no. They were interviewing them all in the clip yesterday.
Oh, my God.
They were all standing outside, feet away, watching. And some reporters started asking the emergency manager guy, hey, isn't it, shouldn't you be telling these people to stay away? And he's like, well, that's not my job. I've just been asked to come clean up. Yeah,
shouldn't
that's what he
hazmat
said.
team be out there, locking the entire building down?
Yeah, this dude, the ones that were cleaning the Duncan's apartment weren't even hazmat. They were a hired decontamination place.
You know what they were called? They were called the cleaning guys.
Yeah.
That was the name of the company, the cleaning guys. Yeah.
Wow, that gives me confidence.
Yeah, because nobody else would take the contract.
Wow. Well, I wonder why. You know, isn't that the CDC's job not to hire it out?
You'd think. That we would have a CDC highly trained staff in, highly contagious viral matter here doing cleanup. And, yesterday, I don't know if either of you guys caught it, but I think it was yesterday, I was talking about how the CDC dude, every time he comes on, he just does not exude leadership. When I look at him, the dude looks like he's half out of it. He doesn't look like the type of person who has a plan and he's ready to execute. You know what I mean?
I know, and he answers things like, I don't know.
Well, I heard someone talking yesterday going, just half the world is like that, and maybe it's the antidepressants. And I was like, oh, that's it. They got all these people on drugs. I mean, all of them. All of them that are in charge. I'll take your little bennies, your uppers, your downers, your whatever. Yeah. But that's the look. That's this clueless, brain dead freaking look that I'm seeing from all these people who are supposed to be in charge. I mean, I'm a psychopath. If we had a major catastrophe. I'll tell you what, my brain is always going. I have 50 plans in my head, and I know exactly what needs to be done to start executing. Bang, bang, bang.
Exactly.
You there, you there, you there. You know what I mean? Where's that fire under your ass? Look, I don't see it.
And they make big money.
Yeah, huge money.
Oh my God, it's absolutely what's going on, Jules, and it seems to be maybe a tinge look of guilt there, like they've been instructed to like put the the front up and like do the big lie in the brick wall type thing.
And here's a few more pills. If it's really painful, just take these before you go to bed. It'll be all better in the morning.
Bingo. Totally.
That's really what it seems like. I gotta say.
And right. Especially since how many years now have they been talking about pandemics? We got to be prepared.
At least since 2006, they've been working on the universal flu vaccine.
There you go.
They trained us for it. I mean, come on.
And this is being prepared. I mean, all they do is talk about it.
They're bumping into walls like Keystone Cops now.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like. I mean, even Obama, where the hell's he? What has he done? Honestly. I also caught someone saying yesterday, shouldn't this be where, all right, the shit's really going to hit now, and so we're going to step up even though we screwed up our last 6 years. Let's, make a stand and go out with a bang and look good. No, the guy still looks like a clown who doesn't know his ass from the hole in the ground.
He's still leaving the airports open.
Let's leave it all open, let them all in, because you know what? Hey, actually, I don't know what show I was listening to yesterday. Oh, by the way, let me mention a couple things. Brandon, our own very, very own Brandon Turville, if you're listening, good morning, Brandon, was on Fox News yesterday.
What? No
way! For an hour. He was the guest. What? In Utah, one of the Fox affiliates. Yeah, he recorded the interview. So hopefully we'll get that up. I don't know if he wants me to cut it or if we're just going to put it up in its entirety. But anyone that was here at 5 p.m. Eastern yesterday, we all caught it in chat. I wouldn't air it, but I dropped everyone the link so we could listen to it. It was great. And the whole thing was on the Middle East and Syria. And
wow.
It blew them away.
Some truth finally. Wow.
Yeah, on mainstream. I couldn't even believe Fox News. Not that I listen to Fox News, but still Fox News is mainstream,
Holy crap, that's amazing.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, we'd love to have you back. We could talk for 3 hours. It was really great. I was just so excited for him. And at the very end, they asked him, where can we find you? And he's like, on my website, BrandonTurrell.com, and I do my show on UCY.tv. It was awesome.
Did you scream when you heard that?
I did. Yeah, well, I messaged them when they went on commercial break. I'm like, hey, maybe you can sneak in the name of the network.
No way. He did it too. That's awesome.
It was great. It really was. So maybe it was them I was listening to. I don't know. I was listening to some show yesterday. It might have been them. And I really the host, in the beginning they were kind of going, as Brandon's spewing all this truth. I mean, he was laying it on thick how the whole thing in the Middle East and ISIS and everything all started and the CIA's involvement. He was laying it on thick. And I'm like, oh, here we go. They're going to totally.
I'm surprised they didn't cut him off.
Me too. And then though, some light bulbs went off and they're like, yeah, we've talked about this. And the two hosts really asked some great, intelligent questions, and I mean, they engaged him for the whole hour. It was great. It really was.
Somebody out there might be listening. You never know who's listening.
Maybe. So that was cool. But during that conversation, I believe they might have been the ones that had mentioned with this open border thing, because they had talked about some of this. One of the reasons maybe they're not closing the borders for the Ebola thing is because they just had the big debate about the open Mexican border. And how are you going to backpedal now that your Mexican border is open, right?
Right.
That all of a sudden we're going to start shutting down our borders.
I heard somebody say yesterday that if we stopped flights to and from Africa, it could cause undue harm to Liberia. Really?
Their entire infrastructure, their entire economy is destroyed at the moment. So it's not.
Yeah.
They want to keep it open. Obama, I heard him say, for military purposes, well, fly C-130s over there. You don't need freaking American Airlines.
Absolutely.
No, we're not flying military gear. Throw it, if you're going to send relief workers, throw them into the cargo hold of a C-130. That's how military go back and forth when they're hopping a ride.
Well, they said, I'm sorry, Zori. They said yesterday now that they're sending like a Marine force over there with like to bring in Marine helicopters to the site, and it's just they just keep sending our guys over there willy nilly, and they're all got to come back here. I mean,
I just heard again about one of the doctors who quote unquote recovered that we talked about yesterday, like that no one's seen anything from. Like, why isn't there a film crew found this dude around going, hey, you were one of the only people in the world to get this brand new super, elixir that cured you. You're all cured and you're out of the hospital. We're going to do an expose. Why is that not happening? But I guess he was warned to wear a condom when having sex because, like we said in the very beginning, Ebola stays in semen. It's an STD.
Oh, my
I don't know how long, and they really don't know how long. But, yeah, so there's another path of injection. No pun intended.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry to cut you off. Sorry.
I know. I'm sorry, too. It's been all bottled up.
It's just I didn't know military used civilian airlines, That's such a stupid excuse.
Well, I don't think they do they?
I don't think they
Not
do.
Not if they're shipping troops, they don't.
Right. And so why would that have anything to do with shutting down our airports from
Exactly.
Right. It was just some stupid thing he threw out there to shut the reporter up.
Right.
Well,
we've got to make sure that our rescue workers can get in there. Our rescued aid workers. That's what he was saying.
Yeah, but send a military plane in to go pick them all up.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, how hard is that to arrange? Not hard.
My dad.
The helicopter they sent is the same crew that was supposed to protect the embassy in Benghazi.
Oh, how convenient.
Oh, hey.
Wait, did these guys see something that they weren't supposed to see? Let's make sure we finish them off now.
I know. I was wondering about like the Team 6.
SEAL Team 6.
Yes. Right, their helicopter blew up. I'd be afraid to get assigned on that helicopter.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
It's like, I told somebody something. They're trying. I bet you they're like all paranoid.
It was a C-130 full of them, not a helicopter.
There was a helicopter that went down.
I'm sure there was a helicopter. Yeah, but there was also a C-130 that they sent them up in that went down too. So
I don't know if I remember the C-130, but I do remember that helicopter they were flying, and it was so heavy that it was low. Or maybe it was a C-130. I thought it was a helicopter, but it was so heavy and full of crap that it was flying low. And, I mean, I've seen them fly. We have the Syracuse base here and the Niagara Falls base, and Rochester's kind of right between them, so they fly over here. So I see them sometimes, and I know exactly what they're talking about. And who did we interview? We interviewed someone that was saying that was so low that should have never even been allowed in a combat zone.
Oh, yes. Really, huh?
Well, the thing is that they never, ever, ever load all their guys up in one vehicle at any one time.
Right.
That's against complete protocol, and so because you have to stagger them out, so that they don't get hit at once.
Right. Just one conveniently placed missile, and bang, they're all gone.
Yeah. So
wow, look what happened.
Right. Look what happened. They went against their own protocols, and they're going against their own protocols here at the CDC because this is a freaking level 4 freaking disease. It's a level 4. This is one of the most deadliest diseases in the entire world, and we're just sending the cleaning guys out to scrape the sick off the sidewalk.
Yeah. Scrape it up, Buttercup.
Our hospitals aren't informed about what's going on, or they would never sent that guy home. Showing those signs of.
I saw this little clip on Fox too. They were just now starting to train workers in Ebola training. just now. They're just now starting their Ebola training right now. Crash course, everyone. Hey.
Yeah, this is crazy. And they've had all these years to prepare for something like this. So, what have these people been doing the last 6 years?
Can I tell you something, though? Here, I'm looking now. My behind the curtain page, I've been keeping up on all the Ebola news, right? And this dude, which I'm going to say, let's listen to my show on now so you get a clue, dude.
Oh.
This dude on my page. This dude on my page, he's like, what's your take? Why do you keep beating this dead horse? You must get a cut from the vaccine companies. Are you kidding me, you douchebag? BTFC, there on my Facebook page in the notes, asswipe. No, don't you get it? Like I said yesterday, this is not a made-up pandemic, okay? People are getting sick. I believe people are dying all over fucking Africa, and guess what? You know what? You go to an airport, you might be one of the lucky guinea pigs that gets to be poked and prodded and have one of these drugs, none of which are allowed to be used on humans at all, even in trials per international law, because they are so dangerous. They can only use them on animals, except in a case of an emergency. Get it? All these companies going public, all these companies funded on the back end by the feds.
Absolutely.
With shoo-ins for CEOs making $724,000 a year and no product to sell. Do you get it? This is ushering in the pharmacological military complex, who's going to have control over every biological process in your body as they're augmenting you with technology. Get it? That's what this is about. This is about getting into your most private parts, into your body, and invading you with their newfangled technology. Get it? Oh, that pisses me off. These people are like DNA. So stupid. I'm hearing these truthers out there going, this is dumb. This is all fake. It's not fake.
It's not fake.
You know what? You go bleed out your freaking ass and tell me it's fake.
Exactly.
Yeah, people are dying all over, especially in Africa.
Fake. This is an absolute man-made pandemic. I can guarantee you that we had something to do with it. But it's all part of a plan to get you scared, to get everybody ready to open their arms to these new experimental processes that they're working on that modifies your DNA and loads you up with nanotech. That's what it's about.
Absolutely.
You know,
so you'll be begging on your knees for these things. You'll be begging on your knees for it.
Yes.
Yes. And I heard on this one interview that they were bringing up the fact that companies here held patents on the Ebola, and the guy that was representing the government said, no, it's just that they were working on the Ebola, and that's why that one strain, trying to, fend off that as if it wasn't created here.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's very possible, Zori. I actually did a search the other night when I was digging into the Shimerics on the Ebola patent, because I haven't read anything yet that convinces me that is the case. And we played that clip. They were doing research back in 89, right, where it got out and the monkeys got it and they started bleeding out. And they will do that. Like if they're researching in a lab with some substance and they make some even more virulent substance, they can patent it.
Yeah, that's strain.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking. But, Ebola, who was I just listening to? And then I read the story about the guy who created Ebola. I mean, I don't think it existed before the 70s.
No.
1976 is when the first patent was done.
Mm-hmm.
76.
Actually, there is a story here.
Guys, it was a Chinook helicopter that SEAL Team 6 went down on, so I just wanted to clarify that. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I can find it. I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing. It is fear porn to get people afraid, but I got to tell you what. these cases are going to pop up in all the countries. Because did you guys hear Lurch? No, yeah, in Spain. Our Secretary of State, Lurch, yesterday. He did a press conference right after I got off air yesterday, and he had a chart. He had all these pie charts showing the lack of funding from all these other countries on the planet Earth, because every country now is responsible for contributing. And all I'm thinking to myself is, wow, you MFers, you have sucked every fixture dry off the walls. You chucked them out the back door, and now you're going to use this to suck any little bit that's stuffed under the bed and in the mattress out.
Yep.
For your coffers. Let everyone must contribute, or ISIS is going to come get you, is what I was thinking. Or Ebola is going to come get you, damn it. You don't give us money? Oh, look what's going to happen. And look at Turkey. What tipped it off was Turkey would not play ball, right? We looked at that a couple weeks ago. And, oh, look at the border town of Turkey has fallen to ISIS. Oh, this is so bad. We sent them there.
Exactly.
And we're sending more troops there. It's crazy.
This is all so dirty. So I don't know. This dude who doesn't seem to get it, if he listened to the show, he'd get it.
Right.
I just post this stuff for me to scroll down and get my stories from. I don't know. Maybe I should do more explanation, but you know what? That takes way too much time. I give you 2 hours a day if I can.
Well,
listen to the show and you get it.
Right. You give the links and you read a little bit of the stories or whatever, and people need to follow through on their own. The stuff.
But I've heard so many shows now where they're just all calling bullshit on this Ebola thing. Hey, you go fly, man. Go touch all the doorknobs in an international airport and then lick your hands.
Right.
You know what? Go for it. Go for it. If you are so sure that all this Ebola shit is fake, I say go for it. I'll tell you what, I'm not.
I ain't either.
Yeah, I never thought it was fake. I just questioned where did it get started and how did it get started?
And I mean, there's always an agenda behind it. I mean, it would be great. Look, think about all the things that could happen if we had a huge mass outbreak. I mean, all their wildest wet dreams could come true.
That's right. Absolutely. This is the start of it.
Why? Exactly. The start of it. So stupid people like that saying this is just all fake are the ones who are going first.
Yeah.
It's like when you're in a freaking zombie movie or a horror film and the lights go out and the first thing you do is open the door and go, hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen enough of those to know that that's not a good idea.
Right.
Always err on the side of caution. Huh?
Half the people are dumbed down and don't even know what's going on, and then the other half is misinformed and listen to the wrong people, and no one's getting prepared.
Well, you can listen to the wrong people. I listen to some of the wrong people, but put on your thinking cap when you're listening to the wrong people.
Bring your common sense back into it.
What was it?
Common sense back into it.
Right. Put your common sense and use everything you hear to then start to deduce with what you know.
Yep.
That's called intelligent thinking.
And making connections.
Yeah, just don't believe it because somebody told you. So what? You heard a show on another network who said that this is all fake, so you run around spewing that?
Right.
Good. That's good. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's not fake. I can tell you. This is not fake. Now, I do want to know, though, where those doctors are that were miraculously cured. I'm going to call bullshit on that.
They mentioned it on Fox yesterday when I was at work.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, really? They're mentioning, and all they mentioned was that, they're recovering right now.
And the semen. That's what I heard. And that they had been warned to wear a condom, the dude.
Yeah, little rain jacket for protection. Mm-hmm.
Now, one of our listeners in chat said the guy lives about 20 miles away from them.
Oh, geez.
And everyone in chat was encouraging them to go get an interview. But you better believe he's probably got Secret Service outside, come to think of it.
Mm-hmm.
Since it was some big, secret serum that they flew him special.
Right. Oh boy.
But
Man,
I
oh
want to
man.
know why there aren't news crews even doing like remote Skype interviews. Even RT, like RT, who tends to try to break the mold and make the United States look bad in any way they can, uncovering scandals, right? Where is RT doing their Skype interview with the dude who is supposedly cured with the secret serum?
That's a good question. How much you want to make a bet that like somebody's listening in the next few days we're going to see that?
We're going to see RT. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure
suddenly.
RT must listen. Well, because I mean, you'd think in this world that we've been groomed to accept, right? Where nobody has privacy and reality TV shows are like, we care what happens to Snooki, okay? Not us, but in general. Wouldn't that be great for ratings? And wouldn't that be great to like totally get people to line up for the new vaccines to make all this money for all these pharmaceutical companies when it comes time?
Absolutely.
Right? When they first came out and said, don't worry about Ebola, we got a vaccine. And everyone's like, oh, shit. So that's what I heard in my friends and family realm. Well, Jules, it's not a big deal because they got a cure. They made everyone kind of complacent at the very beginning. And then when we get right coincidentally as the first case steps on U.S. soil, they're like, oh, remember no one had been reporting it, and I caught it at dinner time on CNN. They asked her offhandishly, so, well, what about the vaccine? She's like, oh, well, we don't have any more.
Right? Yeah.
And then they just continued on a different topic. I was like, what? We don't have any more. Not that I'd be getting any of those RNA vaccines to begin with, but hey, just like they say about anti-vaxxers, everyone else gets vaccinated. They don't have to worry, right? Well, let everyone else line up and get it, but I'm not. But you'll keep me safe.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. So the second we get a case in this country, we all of a sudden don't have any more. So what is that about? To make us beg? Or I was thinking maybe it's because there's like 10 other companies. And you know what? I posted that link yesterday. Let me get out to...
Yeah. You know, I was listening as I went to sleep last night. I was listening to Coast to Coast Nori interviewing this doctor. And I can't remember his name. But anyway, he says that from his resources, he says that there are pharmaceutical companies who have vaccine, but it's not financially ready yet. You know, they're going to wait until there's a big demand, like after it gets here and starts spreading, so they can get it out there at a real high price.
Sorry, did you hear yesterday the entire section I did on the SEC filing for that Shamirix and the quote unquote charity cases, which these all are right now? Well, any company that wants to go public or wants to release some big new product, though they can give out doses under an emergency when it hasn't been approved or they haven't gone public or whatever, if the patient dies, that hurts the investors. So it's all about money. All of this is about money.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting to.
There's all these companies right now. We've been looking at all their pipelines. Now, I was reading in one of the genetics magazines the other day. I found some good genetic engineering publications that I've been visiting and really digging into some of this stuff. And one of the publications was talking about this international ethics law when we're dealing with stuff like this that actually goes in and manipulates your RNA and your DNA, where we have no long-term studies. They don't know if it's going to be epigenetic and affect multiple generations. They don't know what the end result is going to be. There is no good evidence that gives anyone, even at an experimental level, the right to experiment on humans. So there has been an understood kind of credo in genetic research where there are certain primates and maybe even fruit flies. You know, fruit flies reproduce quickly, and they do have a lot of genes that are similar to ours. I don't know if fruit flies, though, for this would probably be appropriate since they probably don't get Ebola, or let's hope they don't.
Fruit bats.
Fruit bats, yeah. But it is well understood in the pharmaceutical industry that for doing testing is not done on humans. It is done on whatever the primate or whatever the animal is that has been decided is close enough to humans. And if they get approval, it will be able to go out if it's been proven with its safety over the years. If there is an emergency, then they will let you test it on humans. That's what this is all about.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this is all about. Now, we read the whole thing about the Shimerics. They just went public. They were a company making no money. They've been in business since 2000 and had nothing in the pipeline until 2013. Yet their CEO is making $724,000 a year.
Woohoo!
And they're getting all kinds of federal funding. And then they just went public, offered an IPO to work on the CMX-001, which is this experimental drug that they gave Duncan in Dallas that died. They launched an IPO to develop this drug and get it on the market. But there was all kinds of federal funding, and they were also working on the same drug with federal money to thwart smallpox in a pandemic. It's an antiviral. One thing that I discovered, too, I was talking about, I really dug into how their drug works, and it was a proprietary lipid so it's a DNA chain of fat, a proprietary fat that they put into, I don't know, I don't have it in front of me, but they were talking about nucleotides. And I mean, it's DNA. It's like, holy shit, we are not coming at this DNA thing from another direction. Well, yeah, this time this stuff targets mRNA, which is the messenger RNA. And in the very beginning, when I first started talking about all this RNA stuff back 6-8 months ago, I was talking about mRNA and RNAi. mRNA is the body's messenger RNA. RNAi is RNA interference. It's a process. It's what these drugs do. They turn DNA channels on and off. They turn genes on and off.
Wow.
So anyway, what I was surprised about in looking into what that Shimerics was developing is that they had stated in their SEC filing that these viral infections were DNA viruses. I had never heard that before. And I tasked SLC if he was out there to like jump on that and see if he could find anything. I actually spent some time last night before I went into a coma sleep again. I don't know. I think it's this cold weather hibernation mode. Second I close my eyes, it's like a coma for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Anyway, they get in and they physically, like, even herpes simplex, cold sores, they get in and they affect your DNA. Did you know that? Like,
no.
I did not know that they were, a virus was a virus to me. Epstein-Barr, which, you know, I remember back in the 80s and the 90s, there was a lot of talk about Epstein-Barr. And I still think that what I was reading wasn't 100% correct, because there used to be, unless maybe they didn't know a lot in the 80s, and now they know a lot more now with genetic engineering. But Epstein-Barr used to be a total different affliction, I thought, than mono. Now, I remember at one point them thinking that Epstein-Barr caused mono, but Epstein-Barr disorder was actually something very different at the time. Now, I had mono in high school, junior high school. I was like 14. I was so sick. I was sick for such a long time. And who knows how I got it. I mean, all the kids in school started getting it. The girl in front of me, actually, Pauline was her name. She had gotten it and was out about a week before I got it. But anyway, there was this list of viruses that aren't like normal viruses. Like a cold is a virus. That does not get into your DNA from anything that I saw. I mean, at least in the publications that I was reading. But like I said, cold sores, the herpes simplex and the other herpes, whatever. There was the two versions.
Right.
Epstein-Barr, this adenovirus, which is the one that the little boy was dying from that I read about yesterday, where that Shimerics wouldn't give him.
I heard that.
Yeah, $50,000 a dose, and they wouldn't give it to him. And that dude, that CEO making $724,000 a year, was quoted in that article saying that, yeah, well, I have my own kids, but, you know, we're trying to get this drug ready for launch, so, you know, we can't give it to you because it's going to slow us down. What?
Crazy.
You let some little boy die. And the worst part was, what put them into kidney failure is that they had tried that same drug, that CMX-001, in intravenous form before the oral that they were asking for, that put him into kidney failure.
No way. Mm-hmm. Oh my God!
And they wouldn't let him take the oral version. Nope.
I hope the family's getting ready for a nice big juicy one.
I don't think you can with experimental.
Oh yeah, you sign your whole life and existence away.
I think you can with experimental, which is why this is so perfect right now. Let's start a pandemic and get people to line up so we get thousands of people who are going to take a known, quote unquote, experimental drug. Because think about it. If they do animal testing and all these drugs are sitting in phase 3 trials, phase 2 and phase 3, ready to go to people, but they can't launch them, which means they can't make money on the stock market, right?
So they wait until it reaches pandemic.
Exactly. And then we start giving them to people, and hey, there's no liability.
And they're not giving them, they're charging.
Yeah.
Charging for them.
Well, they sound like just some big mafia type.
It does. Well, I'm telling you what, it sounds like the chicken house and the freaking foxes are all working together now. Is exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, it is because they're not doing anything to stop it from. Mm-hmm. And then I heard Obama say in his speech, "Well, it's not going to come to this country when a guy already died."
That's bullshit. How would it not come to this country?
Right.
They did a big expose on like how pathetic, quote unquote, screening is at the airports. We're just letting everybody walk in. You know, way back when I put on my terror thinking cap and said, "Oh my God, there's terrorists everywhere under the bed," back in 2001, and thought, what would the next attack be? I was like, man, if they went after the international airports and they put something that could spread, except not right away because you wouldn't be sick on the plane. This is this very scenario. And you wiped it on all the doorknobs outgoing from the bathrooms in the international airport once you're already through security and going to the plane loading. You could infect the entire planet that way very easily.
Right.
Easily.
And, you know, even when people are coming in from Africa and telling them they're coming from Africa, they still don't do anything.
Yeah, they let them go.
Right.
I mean, wouldn't you think that they would be putting everyone, like, with public service announcements, make sure you wash your hands, make sure you don't touch your face.
Yeah.
You know, if you've come near anyone, you know, see something, say something. Think about it. Like, all this conditioning that they've done up until this point, and now we're hearing crickets?
Uh-huh. Yeah,
yes.
You know, well, do so many people have to die before we stop these planes coming in from Africa? You know?
Well, I don't think they're ever going to stop it, Zori. This is all the plan.
What about the wide open border down south? I mean, we got to mention too.
That's what they were saying on that interview with Brandon yesterday. Mm-hmm. If they close air traffic coming internationally from African nations, aren't people going to turn around and point to the Mexican border? And then, whoops, they'd have to close that. So guess what? We can't backpedal. Now you painted yourself into a corner, but it's all part of the plan.
Yes,
it's all orchestrated. Period.
It is. It is the takedown of everything we've ever known. And this is not going to be fought with any firearms or any protests. We're just all laying on the couches going, well, they said we're safe.
Well, remember the FEMA coffins.
Yeah, I know. I've been seeing all those pictures, and it's like,
remember that happened, you know.
That was years back. They are.
Yes.
Oh, those
and they're all sitting there still ready.
Yeah. And I want to know for sure. Somebody said they're going to take a ride down to the what's it called? You know, the big thing, the 500,000 people left.
Oh, the Georgia Guidestone.
The Georgia Guidestone.
Somebody. Lumper, I think it was.
Yeah, somebody was close. They said they were going to take a ride down and see really if somebody, there have been photographs and a few articles written now about how there is now a cornerstone on that Georgia Guidestones that says 2014.
Well, no, now I've seen that the city took it down, that little cornerstone down, and destroyed it. And now there's just an empty slot again where that was supposed to be. But they said it fit perfect in that slot. So maybe it was there, then they took it down, then somebody put it back up, and now they've taken it down and destroyed it.
I don't know.
So, and they showed a picture of the slot where it fits.
Yeah, well, there was somebody actually went down there. There was an article with a photograph of it. Mm-hmm. Though there is Photoshop too, so who knows?
So on there it says 2014, huh?
It did.
Right, but the city council decided they took it down and destroyed that block. So who will know now? If it was original or if, I don't know.
Well, people have to have taken pictures of this thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, I've seen pictures. A couple pretty reputable publications had published a.
Well, and they say on there unequivocally they want the world's population reduced to 500 million or less.
Yeah, that's supposed to be manageable for the planet.
Yeah, manageable for them as a slave class.
Here we go. This is what I was thinking after the show yesterday, after listening to the brand new interview with Kurzweil and their plans for augmenting all parts of our physiology and merging it with machines, and then looking at these brand new androids that Toshiba released in Japan that, all these helper bots and whatever, and then thinking about Bill Gates and in the next 20 years, all of our jobs will be replaced by robots. And then seeing Bill Gates.
1 and 3, yeah.
Yeah, so think about this. It's not that it's manageable. It's that they just don't need us at all. And so all the people that they deem unworthy, all the people that don't have enough intelligence or wherewithal or whatever, you are just useless eaters. And since there is no industry in this country, and this is what I was saying yesterday, they've sucked it all out of here. We got 20% unemployment. Hey, you know what? We could at least cull 20% with pandemics right now. And the rest of them, and think about it, 20% of the population of the United States, what is it at? I don't even know what our population, 170 million, something like that? 170 million? I don't know.
60 or 70, yeah.
Think about it. That's a huge number to go toward the R&D budget for testing your vaccines. And I just counted. I have a Google map that I'm going to drop in a chat I found a couple weeks back that has every biopharma company listed in the world right now that's working on RNAi vaccines of some kind. And guess how many there are? 30 of them.
Whoa.
30 of them that all have products that cannot be tested in humans.
Oh, my
So people, this is very insidious, okay? They are going to make sure that people get this because they do want you to line up and they do want to get their shit approved because, hey, the stock market is up 275 points.
Damn right.
Yeah, and another thing is they say they're not going to do any more bank bailouts. So you know what? I would watch for something like Cyprus to shut the banks down. They get in trouble, and once you deposit your money in there, it's their money. They can invest it, they can do whatever, and they can, you have to sign a form to get your money out. But say they get in trouble again, no bailout, they'll close down the bank and take your money.
I don't think it's going to go to that, Zori. I think it's going to be even more insidious than that. Yeah, think about it. What were we talking about last week with Chertoff and Keith Alexander and J.P. Morgan Chase and the big hack?
Yeah.
The big hack. And they had warned a few months before, everything is so insecure if those hackers hit us. And it was J.P. Morgan Chase. All your bank accounts could go to zero. Like they literally said that.
That's right.
They literally said that. So it's not going to be as blatant as, we need a bailout. We're taking all your money because then people would show up with pitchforks and burning torches.
Just hacked and all your money's gone.
Right, we were hacked. Holy shit. We didn't know. The Russian hackers, the Chinese hackers. And remember, Obama said back already 2 years ago that hacking is a declaration of war against the United States.
That's right.
And why do you think the former NSA director, chief, is involved? I'm telling you, this is so insidious. And they have lined it all up. So, I mean, if you ever, as a kid, were really good at lying, which I was. I did a whole show on this the one time and talked about like my whole transition and learning how lying just isn't good. I mean, it digs you into a hole and there's all kinds of bad mojo that comes with that. So now, you know what? Whatever comes out. And if you don't like it, lump it, okay? Because that's all it is. But liars, if you were ever a good liar, you are able to decode lies. Like you have laser vision that can see through shit.
You're absolutely right.
I was a Class A bullshit artist when I was a teenager. I can see through bullshit with x-rays.
I have to admit, so was I.
Yeah, so there you go. You could tell. And I'm telling you, this is set up so beautifully. So the people that don't get it, the people that are trusting, I'd love to be trusting. But you know what? I've been screwed over way too many times. You know what? Always watch your back.
You gotta think like
your best interest in mind.
You literally have to think like a criminal to know how they operate.
Exactly. And to know how to cover your ass.
That's right.
All right. So what do we get on to? Do we listen to a couple
and
clips?
They're doing, this is mass confusion for people too. Which thing do you worry about? You know, the immigration, you're losing your job, your, finance, it's coming, and then your health. There's so many different avenues that,
They want to keep you in a state of fear because they feed off of that fear.
Well, remember, too, the DARPA experiments that were released about fear being one of the ways that they found that they could insert and remove and insert new memories.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Trauma-based mind control.
An insidious version of trauma-based mind control.
Yes.
And their new and improved version of trauma-based mind control.
Well, and this, you have to remember, too, when all this first started happening and they started pushing the terror button again, terror. It was right around the time of 9/11, too. So it was like so conveniently placed to actually like re-engage that PTSD that we all suffered and then start adding to it. I mean, how many terror groups, quote unquote terror groups, and I mean, they are terror groups, but again, just like the Ebola, they're terror groups we created. I'm not going to say that they're not out killing and terrorizing. But
they are, but we, with our weapons that we provided to them.
Exactly. Same with the Ebola. I'm not going to say that the Ebola isn't killing people, because it is, but we created it. We let it loose, and now we're the ones that are going to stand there and say, hey, we have the cure. Just like in the Middle East, hey, we have the cure. Now we're going to bomb the shit out of you.
Right. Exactly.
Same modus operandi. Well, it's problem, reaction, solution. And it works so well.
And it's been working well for centuries, so why use any different tactics?
Yeah, they're just, repeating scenarios they've done in the past.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's all totally orchestrated, like you were saying, by design. This has been in the plan for a long time. All you got to do is read the Council on Foreign Relations, and you got the whole picture of the Middle East. And they were writing about this crap in like 96, 97, 98, 2001.
Yeah, Brandon was talking about Brzezinski's Grand Trust Board on that Fox interview yesterday.
Right on.
And saying how the woman was asking, like, what the end result is. And he says, well, to be into conflict with Russia, this whole Ukrainian thing, and then now Syria, and then Iran. And, I mean, this is the end result is to get in a head-to-head with Russia. And he says it was all outlined in Brzezinski's Grand Trust Board. And the woman says, well, don't you think Putin read that book?
I know, and there's a company out there that are making T-shirts with Putin on them as the peacemaker.
Well, and you know what? We talked about that whole thing, too. Putin has been portraying himself as the peacemaker. And RT, even when Putin came out and did his whole expose in the New York Times talking directly to the American people. But remember... This also, RT News has been his biggest mouthpiece. RT News is funded directly from the Kremlin.
From him.
Yes. And so RT News is Russian propaganda. So how, Russia would love to see the U.S. fall from superpower status, which we are falling very quickly from. And, of course, we would love to see Russia fall from superpower status because that's what we've always wanted as well. But look at it. Anytime that RT can come out and uncover some scandal within our government, it's awesome for the truthers. I love it. I love being able to shine a big, bright, million candle power light on the cockroaches. Okay?
Yeah, me too.
So they scream as that light is burning the shit out of them. But on the other hand, it also is undermining the confidence of the American people in our country. And though it should, but on the other hand, you got all these people out there now that are standing there with hands open going, oh, Putin's so awesome. No, he's not. Putin is the richest, leader on the planet, and the man is involved in some very insidious stuff. And you don't think that all these rich guys aren't butt rubbing, drinking their champagne on a freaking yacht somewhere? They're all making bank on this. This is all a big fat game on the backside.
They've got interconnecting tunnels underneath the planet that go all around the freaking world to their little bunker to bunker to bunker. I mean, they've got it all set up.
Well, speaking of that, I just actually saw a report where they discovered underground tunnels from North Korea to South. So I haven't seen anything more on that, but I was wondering if that was some sort of like escape route for people that have been stuck in North Korea. And Kim Jong-un, something funky's going on over there. I saw the last couple days there have been clips coming out going, where is he? Where did he disappear to? He just and then I saw something yesterday, and I haven't hit any of the Pigmine videos today, but maybe I'll have to do a scroll. Something saying that potentially his sister is now in charge.
What?
Yeah, I'll find that one because who knows? Did he drop dead? Did he, sick or deposed? Where is Kim Jong-un? And remember, he had all of his family members executed. His uncle he had executed. Supposedly.
Damn, maybe he had sex
maybe
with
his sister had him
and caught something.
Ah.
I'm not kidding. Maybe he dinked it and Dennis Rodman, and that was now he's got you know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah, I think the sister offed him.
Maybe. Maybe. But hey, U.S. heroin overdoses nearly double in 2 years. Hey, that's called Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm. As we protect their fields.
Yeah.
That would. Can I go back to that though, real quick? That's that if Kim Jong Un's sister.
I know. I'm trying to find that clip. We'll play that.
If that literally happens, I mean, a woman being in charge, I mean,
North Korea,
of North Korea, that would be the most. I don't know. That scares the crap out of me.
No, not me. I hope she's kinder and gentler and lets all those people go.
She's going to be worse than her father. She's going to be like a nightmare version of Hillary Clinton. I'm telling you right now. I just don't trust women, and that scares the crap out of me. She's gonna go into South Korea like it's like grass and trample it. Oh my God!
Yeah,
I don't have a woman in
China
charge
back there.
Let me scroll down. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Oh yeah, is Kim Jong Un's sister in charge of North Korea? Hold on, let me find chat so I can kill the player, and then I can pull in Skype. Yeah, that was the first I had seen of that. Yeah, there we go. All right, kill that, and let me call me. And we'll find out what's going on here. Yeah, and it got really quiet. Remember Kim Jong-un, whichever, I think it's Un, right? That's the kid.
Un, yeah.
Yeah. He was having attention fits for a while there, right? And blowing stuff up and sending missiles into the ocean. And then he got real quiet. But I thought it was just all the other things that are going on, what the hell's going on in Ukraine. And yesterday, right? Remember we talked about this when the lead dude, Pokunyevic, whatever, who happens to be a millionaire, if not a billionaire. He's a big rich guy, the one that we put into power in Ukraine. But he came to the United States a few weeks back as the Russians were all still lined up on the border and asked for us to send our military in. Do you remember that or not? Because, that just dropped into the memory hole. Well, I just saw, too, scrolling in the news. Guess what? We just started shipping munitions there now. That was in today's news. Yeah.
Yo, this is the standoff. This is it. People, this isn't fake. This is absolutely
none of this
happening.
Is fake. I know, but
happening.
Also this whole Ebola thing. On top of everything else, it is a smokescreen, but I still don't think it's fake. There's this other agenda. You got 30 I counted 30 pharmaceutical companies who are all sitting with products in the pipeline, just chopping at the bit to get them launched so they can make some money.
Waiting for a declared pandemic.
Well, even this thing with Russia, too. I mean, people are going, oh, it's staged. You know what I mean? But it's really, really odd and popping right now. I think what Brandon was saying was absolutely correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's proxy war. It is a proxy war in another country. And I mean, we have 3 of them. Africa is also a proxy war. That's what
Syria?
China. And Syria is a proxy war with Russia as well. Yes. So you have Ukraine. But, the whole Chinese thing down in Africa, we're like, screw you, Chinese. We're just going to make everyone get Ebola and then drop our troops in.
Right.
Yep, and that's what they're doing.
Yep.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
All right, here. Leader's sister may now be running North Korea. Let's run this one. This was from yesterday. Let's see if it looks.
She's barely noticed, often seen behind him in official pictures. But right now, some believe Kim Jong-un's younger sister could be running North Korea. Analysts say Kim Yo-jong, who's believed to be in her mid-20s, has unfettered access to her brother. The belief that she might have ascended to the top temporarily comes from the North Korean intellectual Solidarity, a group of defectors which has not revealed the source of its information. CNN cannot independently confirm it.
I can see how it's possible that she's in some sort of temporary position. It's very difficult for the North Korean system to run without one of the Kim family at least titularly in charge.
Analysts say Kim Yo-jong's the youngest of 7 children their father, Kim Jong-il, had with 4 different women. She went to private school with Kim Jong-un in Switzerland under assumed names, experts say, and later took on important responsibilities for her father, like inspecting sites before official visits. Analysts say Kim Yo-jong now does similar tasks for her brother, but also gets intelligence briefings and handles government policy.
Clearly an effort to, slow track her on to becoming somebody who is important within the system.
But as for handling all the stress and palace intrigue of being the supreme leader,
if in fact she is running the country as someone in their early to mid-20s, to me that is quite alarming. It means there's something seriously wrong with Kim Jong-un, and there is some sort of void that they're trying desperately to fill.
And the mystery surrounding Kim Yo-jong's brother is only deepening. Kim Jong-un hasn't been seen publicly in more than a month. South Korea's defense minister now says Kim is not in the capital city. One analyst says he could be north of Pyongyang, in one of 3 different compounds used by the ruling elite. And there's one other possibility.
Another option is over here in Wonsan. This summer, Kim Jong-un spent a lot of time over here. He observed military demonstrations and practices out in the bay here, and he even had military practices take place right off the beach in front of his family home.
Now, all eyes are on a big event this Friday. Will Kim Jong-un show up at the anniversary of the founding of the ruling Workers' Party? He was at the same event last year, as shown in this picture. Now, if he doesn't show, the concern over his public disappearance will only grow. If he does, intelligence analysts will be looking at his appearance, his body language, every single detail very carefully.
So, I don't know. What do you think about that?
A young 20-year-old in charge, running a country.
Country, yeah, that's pretty frightening.
Yes, in and of itself, that's frightening. Let alone she's a woman, which makes it worse.
I'm just looking. I thought there was one more. Hold on.
And that's weird because he was he was always in front of the camera, and then just to disappear for a month. Strange.
No.
Oh, dengue fever. Worst ever fever in 20 years to hit China.
Wow.
Didn't it just hit Japan too?
Uh-huh.
And yeah, didn't they just release they just released those dengue fighting mosquitoes in Brazil? Because they had it really bad there too. GMO mosquitoes loaded with I don't know, the vaccine.
No, they just had a mosquito swarm on Arizona, too.
I didn't see that.
Wow.
With dengue?
I don't know. All I seen was Arizona gets swarmed with mosquitoes a couple of days ago.
They probably let them go over the Mexican border.
That's one thing. We don't have mosquitoes here this year. We didn't see any this summer.
Because you didn't have any water.
I know, no puddles formed.
No eggs if there's no
eggs.
water.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's one more clip. I don't know if you want me to play it or not about Kim Jong-un being missing.
Go for it.
All right. Let's click on this puppy. I don't know, at least something to keep an eyeball on.
I think so.
Walking through a surprised foreign media scrum last year, ensuring our CNN cameraman gets his close-up and greeting his seemingly adoring and overwhelmed soldiers. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has never been one to shy away from the camera, which makes his more than 1 month absence from public all the more notable. A visible limp and state acknowledgement of his, quote, discomfort, pointing to health issues.
There are reports that he's hurt his ankles. We've seen a lot of tapes of him limping pretty severely. You know, if Kim Jong-un has to be on crutches, that might be an image that North Korea doesn't want to show to the rest of the world.
Kim's second-in-command and other high-ranking officials turning up in Seoul over the weekend, while both surprising and significant, probably lays waste to breathless speculation of a coup. Although the delegation reportedly told their southern counterparts the supreme leader wasn't even sick.
Short answer, yes, he's in control. Because, well, if we assume that he has been somehow removed, we would expect some serious changes in the personal composition of the leadership. New appointments, new dismissals, some people going missing.
Assuming Kim Jong-un is calling the shots, North Korea is, true to form, blowing hot and cold, slamming South Korean President Park Geun-hye last week as a, quote, wretched pro-US stooge and traitor to the nation. 2 days later, top officials are all smiles with an unprecedented visit to Seoul, pushing for inter-Korean talks. Another 2 days pass, and North and South Korean boats exchange fire along the disputed maritime border in the Yellow Sea. The very next day, Pyongyang's deputy ambassador to the United Nations invites reporters to a highly unusual briefing. It's these contradictory signals that lead many analysts to assume that it is, in fact, business as usual in North Korea, even if the leader's nowhere to be seen. And the next litmus test is Friday, and the anniversary of the founding of the Workers' Party, ceremonies where Kim Jong-un would usually be front and central. Paula Hancock's CNN Seoul.
I don't know. I would almost think that the contradicting, one person saying one thing and then they're battling the next says to me that there's some internal turmoil going on.
Yeah, me too.
Sounds like it to me. So we'll see if he shows up to this tete-a-tete, huh?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. Be interesting.
Sure would be. I don't know. I mean, he personally, is North Korea a big risk? I think China keeps him in check. We've told them that before when he's kind of gotten himself out of control, threatening. I think he loves attention. And when he's not getting enough attention, he starts to stir stuff up. It's very possible if he's limping, he's got some sort of arthritis or Achilles tendon problem or whatever. And I would agree that probably in a society like that shows weakness.
Exactly.
Right.
But who knows? And I mean, honestly, I don't follow North Korea like they're any big danger. I mean, we have South Korea and all of our bases kind of right there next to them. But
yeah, a while back they were really, pumping it up, but now you hardly ever hear about it.
Right, but I mean, as far as like starting a global war or something, I don't think Russia's really behind them, are they? And it is a communist country, but I've never seen Russia come out and back North Korea. China, China's kind of like the motherland, but I've only seen China wag a finger at them saying, stay out of trouble.
Right.
I've never seen China put their hackles up and go, don't pick on little North Korea because we're coming at you. We got missiles armed.
Right. So. Yeah, you don't see that.
And we still have our bases over there and all, so,
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a little distraction.
Well, it's just interesting, though. Where did he go?
Yeah,
or is he being deposed?
What the hell is he doing?
Has he already? Fine, instead of fine Waldo.
Yeah, fine Kim Jong-un.
Fine Un.
Fine Un. I did see that they euthanized that Spanish nurse's dog.
I know. Now, Can dogs pass Ebola?
Well, you know what? We got a clip on that. And I saw one of my prepper pages that I subscribed to yesterday pointing out that if dogs can spread Ebola,
we're really in trouble.
Here's a thought. Yeah. I mean, really, here is a thought. Everybody's got their dogs out wandering around. They're sniffing telephone poles, other dogs' piss or whatever, right? I mean, that's bodily fluids. And then you're taking that dog home that's licking your kids and climbing into your kid's bed.
Right.
That would be really freaking bad if that's the case.
They probably can't get it themselves, but they can certainly transfer the...
Right, that's what I was seeing, is that they show up as hosts who are like typhoid Marys with no symptoms, kind of like bats.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, some very adept, awake person on the Pigmine video posted the CDC article that shows the Ebola virus antibody in dogs and humans. So that's pretty cool. Here, we'll listen to this clip because I'm glad you guys brought that up. It was something I wanted to follow up on yesterday, and I want to look at this PDF. So, can dogs contract and spread Ebola? Man's best friend might be used against them.
I wanted you to talk about this because obviously we know how passionate you are about animals. And here's what I know about Ebola and dogs. They can get the virus from humans, and they can excrete it, and they could be contagious, though there's not been documentation to my knowledge. What say you on this topic?
Well, yeah, there's been no documentation from what I've read that any dog has passed on Ebola to any human. This is a very emotional subject. I'm an animal rights activist, and I have compassion for the dog, for the human companions of the dog, and for the protesters. But I certainly think that what they should do is take all that energy they're putting into this one dog and put it to the millions of dogs that are killed every year in the United States and around the world because there are no homes for them. The millions and millions of dogs that are roaming the streets starving because nobody does spay and neuter programs, and the 9 billion animals in the United States that are consumed for food every year in factory farm conditions. So we have a double standard. We get emotional about one dog, but then when you talk to somebody about, the way that pigs and cows and chickens are treated in factory farms, I don't want to hear about it.
What's the famous?
The vast majority of animals.
Listen, I agree. Listen, the way humans' brains works has always baffled me. It's like one tragedy is a catastrophe, but 1,000 is an incident. Lonnie, what do you say about what Jane said?
Well, I agree with what she said. I think she made great points. And I also think that what happened in the case in Spain, while a lot of people are upset about it, I think that it had to be done. And I know that dog haters are going to hate me for that. But when it's coming to a choice between human life and animal life, and we don't know at this point yet how dangerous it is for dogs to have. We know that chimpanzees can carry it and also pass it. We know that there are other animals. We don't have enough studies done yet to know if...
I'm going to stop for a second. That astute viewer that dropped that CDC article that I just put into chat definitely says that dogs can carry it. And, you know, my cousin, I think I mentioned that my cousin is a relief worker and goes to weird places like Africa to do things like this. And she was saying when we were talking about it that that's how she thought that it was spreading very easily as well, is because not only dogs, but any of their farm animals and stuff, they don't leave them outside at night. They bring them in. And a lot of those animals aren't actually fed. They feed on carrion, you know, other dead creatures that are out there, which would be an easy way for them to become infected. And then with the close human contact, that's how shit like that spreads, especially in a tropical region.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This is kind of bad. That woman's voice was just like grinding into my skull.
I know. She really kills me. So we're not going to listen anymore of that because they're saying, well, there are no studies, and that's why this person dropped the study into the notes, because there is a study. It says during a 2001-2002 outbreak in Gabon, we observed that several dogs were highly exposed to Ebola virus by eating infected dead animals. To examine whether these animals became infected with the Ebola virus, we sampled 439 dogs and screened them by Ebola virus-specific immunoglobulin. the IG assay, antigen detection and viral polymerase chain reaction amplification, and we don't really need to get into how they did it. A significant positive direct association existed between seroprevalence and the distances to the Ebola virus epidemic area. This study suggests that dogs can be infected by Ebola virus and that the punitive infection is asymptomatic.
Wow.
Meaning that, yes, they can become infected. No, you won't know they have it. And if they're asymptomatic, can they pass it on? The study continues about chimpanzees. In previous studies, we have showed that each extended outbreak could be subdivided into several independent epidemic clusters or chains of transmission, which resulted from close contact with an Ebola virus Z infected animal carcass. Epidemiologic observations and genetic analyses identified gorillas, chimpanzees, and I'm not sure what these are, Duiker, Duiker, Duiker carcasses as the main sources of human cases. Once the species barrier has been crossed between animals and humans, the disease spreads among humans by direct physical contact.
There you go.
Now that's scary.
That is scary.
There you go, right there.
And, you know, that prepper page that I was talking about yesterday had made the comment, about how many homeless dogs we have wandering around.
Oh, yeah.
We could have, this could be like, instead of fruit bats, so they say, it could be like what really spreads it around here. So I don't know. All I'm saying is, wow, that was really a kind of a scary thought, because I did not realize that dogs could carry it. Though I can say, as a kid, my friend and I were just discussing this the other day about whether or not you could catch something from a sick cat. And I will tell you, I've never read anything, but I've never looked anything up. But having a cat for most of my 46 years of life, there have been a few instances in my life that I am certain that A, in one case that I caught something from my cat, and B, in another case that my cat caught something from me. But I used to sleep with my cat every single night. You know what I mean? And pet them and hug them and kiss them. And I was a cat freak growing up. Very close human contact. And I think it's possible.
Yeah.
And
well,
then kids
absolutely.
play with their dogs and then they go to school.
Right.
Dog runs around and oh man, you're right. This is a nightmare waiting to happen. Just like last week, there's packs of dogs all over Detroit, and I guess last week a pack of dogs attacked this homeless guy or something and ate his hands and feet.
Oh,
both hands, both feet,
because they were easy pickings.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's in Detroit?
Yes.
That shit you'd expect up in, Chernobyl land up there where all those dogs are.
It happened in Detroit last week.
Wow, I didn't see that in the news. That's really horrifying.
Yeah, that was local.
It says that did it happen? Did it not happen? This actually goes on for 5 pages. In conclusion, the study offers the first evidence that dogs might be asymptomatically infected by Ebola virus in the wild. The finding has potential implications for preventing and controlling human outbreaks. The increasing canine seroprevalence gradient from low risk to at-risk Ebola virus endemic areas indicates that this seroprevalence might be used as an epidemiological indicator of virus circulation in regions where no other means of virus detection are available. So, is it conclusive? That was from 2005. It says maybe.
Well, yeah.
But remember, we read that story out of that Australian science publication that came out a month and a half ago from studies very early on in the Ebola outbreak, showing that it was mutating 300 times per person per transmission. So, with mutation rates such as that, anything could happen.
Absolutely. And that is where people aren't taking this seriously enough. It's crazy.
Yeah. It pisses me off that people think it's a joke.
Yeah. Joke's on you.
Well, the joke will be on you if you're the one who gets it.
Exactly.
All I know is I'm not going in an airport touching doorknobs and then licking my hands.
I don't even want to be around anyone that's been in an airport.
I know. I'm really afraid. I got an old friend that's flying into town next weekend, and his brother called me and said, "Hey, we're having a big party Saturday, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "Woo, I'm coming." And then I'm like, "Oh, wait." He's going to be flying in on a plane.
Oh, my God.
So I don't know. The
have
jury's
to think about these things.
Jury's still out on that.
Don't know who's going to have what and where they've been. And I mean, you're in public spaces. I clean like a gym for a living, right? I mean, a lot of people go in and out of there and touch all the bars
and sweat.
In an airplane, you're in a big tube.
Yeah. The sweat all over the floor, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's going to be a point where I'm going to say, "Look, guys, I'm not doing this anymore," and it might be freaking.
You're going to be in your hazmat suit.
Yeah, I just thought, yeah.
Well, hey, remember my family just came from Australia, and where'd they fly through? LAX. And where'd they go to? DC. Well, let's see. We had 2 suspected cases in DC, which I haven't heard any follow-up on that. We now have a suspected case in LA that came through LAX, and we have a suspected case now in Australia as well.
And Obama says that it'll never come here. And that was just yesterday or day before.
And a second one now, one of the deputies, like we mentioned.
Yeah, the deputy that was in the room.
Beginning of the show.
Yes. So, I don't know. I agree with that sour puss who left the nasty comment on my Facebook page about beating a dead horse, because it is kind of beating a dead horse. But on the other hand, there is such a nefarious agenda, and this isn't just, an outbreak. I mean, this has been planned. What about the enterovirus? I saw yesterday a report of 43 states.
Yep.
Now it's 44.
Right.
And children have been dying. That child in New Jersey, there were 4 children, I believe, in Colorado that they believe are paralyzed because of it. And we haven't had an outbreak here of that since 1968. And just like that dengue fever in Japan, not since 1945. You don't think... And don't forget that Chickamauga virus now is spreading, and that's another hemorrhagic fever.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
don't think that we just aren't dropping little vials, bink, bink,
that's what it sounds like.
Think about it.
Doesn't it look like that now?
Yeah,
Australia,
it sure does. And right before all this happens, the CDC had that big, look, up on top of the filing cabinet, we just had smallpox. Oh, boy.
And here's another thing. We don't know what they're putting in the chemtrails. And seems like all the planes were down for a few days. And I heard no one mentioning any chemtrails, and they said they were doing something to them, but you know what?
Yeah.
They could
That's
be
hearsay, but
it's global.
It's hearsay, but here's the thing. Hello.
Hey.
You sound like you're in a car.
All right, I'm on a laptop with a really small.
Yeah, there you go. Back off.
Speaker.
All right, there we go. Let me just finish my thought for 1 second, Shally. It's Shallyak. He's on with us. All I wanted to say is, Dane's talked many times about chemtrails and what the hell they're putting in them. And, I mean, it would be very easy for them to put anything, including nanotech or,
that's right.
You know what I mean, anything they want into the mix. And we've already had evidence. There were FOIA documents that had talked about them spraying radiation over low-income neighborhoods in Michigan back in the 60s and the 50s. And what was the other one? They did some really horrible venereal disease that makes you go blind.
Syphilis.
Yeah, I mean, there are all these horrible things. So, hey, there's no reason why they couldn't be doing it. But all I want to point out is that's all hearsay. I have not seen any evidence for that, but it is so plausible. You know what I mean?
Right,
so
they won't even admit to
spraying. Exactly. But
yeah.
All right, so Shally, welcome.
Hi.
Hey, Shally.
Hey.
How's it going?
Good.
Awesome.
Did you want to chime in?
Yeah, I wanted to. I was Sunday. I was talking about how, in January, prior to the Ebola outbreak, the UN was over in that area, vaccinating for 3 different types of diseases. One of which was not Ebola.
I don't think they vaccinated anyone for Ebola that I remember. I remember they were doing polio.
Yeah, well, they were in this report that they were over there and they were vaccinating, like they always are, under the guise of keeping people healthy. So I think that on some level they triggered this through. I think probably a lot of these individuals got this from needles.
From the vaccinations themselves, yeah.
From the vaccinations themselves, yeah, just like HIV. When they went over there under the guise of, I guess it was some kind of pox or something like that. They injected a lot of the people in Africa. I mean, they basically decimated that country.
And remember, Gates just put in $50 million towards all this.
Yeah,
and Gates
and I read also there's that huge lawsuit now that's been filed in India against the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Yes.
For their HPV vaccine trials and 2 different counties or towns, 16,000 girls in one and 14,000 girls in another that didn't have proper consent, that they were doing experimental vaccines on these girls.
That's huge.
Yeah. And, they've got a bioterrorism laboratory over there within, close proximity to Sierra Leone. And, they just been churning this thing up for a number of years. And there's this guy, Robert David Steele, who's ex CIA. He was talking with Paul Joseph Watson the other day, and he was saying that there's going to, that he was hearing things about an outbreak in America, but it was like, it would be like a false flag because it wouldn't be that serious of a thing. Like, I think they've got like different levels of it or something, maybe, where they can actually make it look like we're about to have it because all the signs show that these things are going on. And then, of course, they'll be able to do what Jules has been talking about all morning, is fast track and start distributing a lot of these mRNA and all these like really, really insidious things to to finish us all off.
To save us, yeah.
Yes, to save us. And don't forget, they came out probably 2 weeks ago. There was a clip on Pigmine about, ISIS could launch a bioterror attack on America. And I'm just looking right now. Scientific American published an article on September 25th. Weaponized Ebola, is it really a terror threat? And that's exactly what they're talking about. Terrorists infecting themselves. I'm still worried about that Hajj, what's it called? The Mecca, all the Muslims in Mecca and Saudi Arabia. There were over 3 million of them. No, they were worried about Ebola in Hajj. It's their Exodus or whatever it's called, where every Muslim has to go at least once in their life. Every year there's millions of them that go. It was still going on the last time I looked. I don't know if it's over yet, but
it's for a week, yeah.
Yeah, and there were 3 million of them from all over the world, including Africa. Now, Hammy had messaged me a few days back saying he had just heard that they finally had banned people coming from Africa. But who knows? I mean, hey, I don't have to be from Africa. I could be crazy,
you could have just had a connecting flight.
Oh, well, you could have just had a connecting flight. Or if they really, really, really wanted to get crazy, hey, what's the difference of strapping on a bomb vest or infecting yourself with Ebola if you're like that type of person who thinks they're going to get the Vestal Virgins when they go to Allah?
Right.
Right? Infect myself and then go stand in the middle. What movie did I see that was like that? That's exactly what they did. And then they went and stood in the middle of New York City with their arms out, like spinning around.
Right. You know, it was funny. I was watching a video clip of Fake Time with Shrill or Shill Mar, and he had Ben Affleck on.
I heard about that. Yeah, I can't watch Bill Maher. He annoys me.
Yeah, I can't.
And he had this other guy on. This other, he has a guest that comes on that sits to the left of him, like 3/4 of the way through the show. I saw it in a video clip because I can't stand to watch the bullshit lies anymore. And so Ben Affleck hears this conversation that they're having about Islam and how they just start putting the whole religion together and saying, oh, it's just and Affleck says, this is just a racist conversation, basically. I'm paraphrasing. And then Bill's like, no, it's not. No, it's like totally for real. And like they hate everybody and they just want to totally, really just abuse women and give them no rights and so I'm looking at in LinkedIn, and there was a conversation, somebody had posted it in there, and of course nobody took Ben Affleck's side. It was still this thing, and then I put in there was a long paragraph. And by the way, when you put when you comment in LinkedIn, you get 666 characters, and then they cut you off. But anyway, that's a side note. But I put in there that hey, they could tell us, the media could tell us that there's ISIS is on the moon beheading little green fucking men. And the people in America would believe it to a great extent, and so these people that have they've succeeded in this whole thing about taking Islam and taking people of the Muslim faith and turning them all into radicals. And then, of course, Albert Pike said that the Third World War would be the Muslims against the Zionist factions.
Albert Pike, no.
They are really trying to turn this into a holy war, and I believe it was George Bush who was the first one that kind of talked about that, this being his holy war, because he's on this Christian thing. I mean, you know what? I got to tell you, I grew up with a mother who was raised strict Catholic and had the shit beaten out of her by nuns, okay? So my entire upbringing was you believe what you want to believe, and that's what I spent all of my younger years in college studying was global religions. All of it. If you take a look way back, all of it's a load of bullshit. All of it's a form of control. All of it is a way to tell you what to believe.
Now, if it's violent.
Well, that was what my master's degree was going to be on. How religion, the belief in something that isn't even proven for any reality to be real, any God or any whatever. I mean, people might say, okay, and I don't want to offend anyone here, for anyone that believes, but it's a belief, okay? You don't have concrete evidence, all right? I like evidence of things. And so something that is just a belief can create such feelings, such emotions, such reality that it has created probably the most bloodshed out of all of mankind's history.
Well, it's the total hijacking of religion.
There is.
It's the total hijacking of religion. I really truly believe that there's good teaching and there's good life information that comes out of that comes with Christianity and things like that. But what we've seen here is an absolute a hijacking of it. I mean, you got the Schofield Reference Bible that in the late 1800s was implemented and then distributed through through parts of Europe and then in America that basically said that Israel is the Holy Land and all this other stuff, and that's where all these Christian Zionists have come from. So there you got that known hijacking, and then you've got what they're doing in the Vatican to make it look like Christianity is just a bunch of pedophile. It's just a big pedophile thing.
Right.
And then, I mean, just across the board, you just see all these things. And then, of course, you got
it's another crime syndicate. All of it.
It is.
It's ways to launder money and to rape children and to rape your mind and to control you and tell you what to believe and make you do what they want you to do.
Absolutely.
Or, I'm not saying that a lot of ideas out of religion aren't good ideas. Like, who doesn't think that love your neighbor is a good thing? Who doesn't think like, share and be kind and love one another is a good thing? I wish we could. Here's my thing. I don't give a shit what religion you are. I don't give a shit what color you are. I don't give a shit what country you're from, because you know what? It boils down to this. There's assholes and there's nice people. And I've had friends from all over the world in my last 20 years of life. Okay. So I don't care what you are. If you're cool, you're cool. If you're fucktard, you're a fucktard. Okay. That doesn't make me racist. Yeah. But here's the thing. Can't we all just get along? Right. Can't you believe what you believe and I believe what I believe, and let's talk about it? Why don't you teach me stuff and I'll teach you stuff, and maybe even though we don't get along, we can find stuff that's like, wow, for intellectual curiosity's sake, wow, that's really cool. Why don't you tell me a little bit more about your culture, about what you learned? You know what I mean?
Well, see, there's a middleman in between everyone. And that middleman is a piece of shit. And that middleman is the media. That middleman is the government that sits there and says, there's this group of people, and then there's this group of people. The Muslims are just all terrorists. I mean, it was surprising because I saw a movie over the summer, and it was from that guy from Scrubs, the Jewish guy, Zach Braff.
I like Zach. He was always hysterical on that show.
Right. It was a good show. It was very mixed, and there was a lot of really the Dr. Cox. He was
that show. That was when I still watched TV. That show was one of my favorites. Actually.
Yeah, and so he did Garden State. I don't know if you saw that, and that was really. If you haven't seen Garden State, check that out. But he crowdfunded this latest movie that I forget what the name of it is, but his wife works. He's an actor, and he's struggling to get these parts and everything. And his kids go to this, this synagogue or this Jewish school, and what happens is he winds up having to pull them out of the school because they can't afford it, and his dad's dying of cancer. So, and then the kid's like, and he's got a son and a daughter, and the son says, all Muslims are terrorists, and he says, no, that's bullshit. He said, not all Muslims are terrorists, and I was just like, wow, that just kind of blew me away that there was that and I just I mean there you got the people that believe heavily in the Jewish conspiracy and all that other stuff. There's actually they're good, like you said, there's good and bad, there's fucktards, there's assholes, and there's really good people. And I just think that you're going to hear these messages out there that are that like what Ben Affleck said. He said that's racist for you to say that just to clump all these people together.
Well, blanket
and then
statements.
Everybody in LinkedIn was like, oh, fuck Ben Affleck, fuck him. He should go and he should move to Islamabad or some shit. And everybody had that stance. And then I just thought they've really have won, because listen to these people that I've chatted with any number of different of them in there, where they understand that there's something very insidious going on, but they're still holding on to this whole Muslim thing, and they're still holding on to the absolute destructive lessons that we've been taught by the media about regarding 9/11 and all that other shit.
Well, look, people become so polarized, so easily led, so easily unable to think for themselves, that when you get somebody like the Bushes who pose as Christians, but they're actually practicing Satanists, then, you know what I mean? There's a lot of misleading going around, and they're able to, get people against each other, fighting each other for stupid ideals that they placed out there on the table, and, it's a feeding frenzy of people fighting each other while they loot our bank accounts. That's
division.
Exactly.
That's what the hell's going on here.
And everybody has, not everybody, but there is such a deep belief in things like this that, throughout history, they've fought to the death over differences in religious belief. You know what I mean?
It's a way that they can control the population into fighting and killing each other. It's just the oldest tactic in the damn book.
And we keep falling for it over and over and over.
We do. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't radicals out there that freaking hate us now, because they absolutely
have
do.
Good reason.
We had that doctor on from Doctor Without Borders, not that group, but it was a similar group. Madison interviewed him back a few years ago, and he spent many, many, many years over in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and countries like that doing cleft palate surgeries for free for these children who were damaged by the depleted uranium bombs.
Absolutely.
And things of that nature.
Blowback.
Yeah, and he said that, I mean, he's been doing it for 30 years, and he said back in the 70s and stuff, when they'd go over there, the Americans, they loved the Americans. The Americans were the saviors that were coming to help them. He said the last few times that he'd been over there, and I mean, like I said, this interview was a few years ago, he said there is absolute distrust and hate for us now, and it's because we've blown the shit out of families. We kill entire wedding parties.
How many countries have we destroyed? Literally went in and destroyed.
How would you feel?
Vaccinations in Africa, they run from us now.
Right. How would you feel if France was coming over here, you know, dropping bombs on your cities, and then they come in and they're like, hey, we love you. We want the money. You know what I mean?
Bombs.
Right? Or Mexico or whoever. I mean, if there was another country that was coming in here blowing up friends and family and saying, oh, we got a terror suspect, you know, or we got a drug dealer, how would you feel? You would be pissed off. And
them.
Exactly.
If you watch some of RT, you'll see that. I know that Jules and I totally agree that it's Putin's arm and there's propaganda in there. But they really truly. I mean, this one guy was saying America just is spreading all this hate against Muslims. But this is what I wrote to the people regarding this Ben Affleck thing on LinkedIn. I said they both blow Ebola every chance they get. No opinion they have is worth the shit. Everything Hollywood puts out is a lie. It is a lie about the history of America, and they both represent that disease that horrorwood is. Michael Savage just put out a book called "Stop the Coming Civil War," and maybe that should have been a topic on a real time
interview, by the way,
with Shil Marr and his libtard guest, and that are clueless like most of his guests. The problem is, in America, people watch lying, deceptive news, and then they repeat the lies and cannot think for themselves. If the media told people to hate midgets and butterflies, most of Americans would start hating that without thought.
And you know what, though? That's groomed into our society. That's the dumbing down. That's this whole Common Core in school. This is teaching you not to think for yourself, not to ask questions, not to be inquisitive, to believe what you're told. And that's the end of that.
That's right.
You know, they don't challenge these kids to use their brains. Your brain is a part of your body. Anytime you don't use a part of your body, it gets flabby. Well, now our brains are flabby.
And check this out. So
flabby, and then it eventually atrophies when you don't use it.
Exactly.
Now, the follow-up comment was like zombies. So this guy Michael was like zombies. So he kind of agreed with me. And then this guy Jim said, I wonder if Affleck would be as sympathetic if they cut his wife's head off. Oh my God.
People, I don't pay any attention to that shit.
I ignore them.
That's why I'm not on Facebook or none of that shit. I just don't. Somebody wanted me to join LinkedIn so bad, and I'm like, screw that. I'm not doing that just for this reason, because
I made some good contacts on there. That guy Sean was in the chat room, and we've been communicating back and forth. So there are people out there that understand and get it. But you know, it takes a lot for. I mean, you know, we sit here and we understand this. We've been studying it, but we took the initiative to do so. We at some point we suspended whatever beliefs that we had to be able to look in a different direction. And Jules, I guess for you it was like Fukushima that really opened your eyes, and then that Maggie Rodden woman who used to do that unsolicited opinion. Her whole awakening was due to after 9/11 they weren't securing the borders, and as she just moved in that direction, she became enlightened by a great number of things. So
Well, I think most people, they're just afraid of the name calling, to be called a tinfoil hat or whatever. They're just socially afraid to, come out and say how they feel.
That's true,
Well, you know what? They put a big stigma on people who speak their minds because being different used to be cool. I grew up in the 80s, man, and I was as different as they come. And anyone who knew me back in those days, man, they never forgot me. I'll tell you that. Mm-hmm. People still remember me from 25 years ago if they brought them up. Oh, remember that girl? Oh, yeah, we remember her. And you know what? I've always been that way. Yeah, actually, I have a T-shirt that says, people know me. But the thing is, when did it become wrong to be different? Isn't that what it's about, is being an individual? It's not jumping in and agreeing with everyone because that's what everyone else says. I'm the one who always used to throw the bullshit flag in high school, and all the rest of the class would go, oh, here she goes again. Because I would be asking the 100 questions. Well, you know what? That's how we don't get hijacked as a nation.
Right. I mean, this guy, I don't know if you this guy's been on twice. Of course, he's been over on Jonestein Corporation. But this Robert David Steele made any number of really, very powerful, talked about how a Boston bombing at Sandy Hook were false flags. And he also mentioned that there was an article, and I'm trying to find it, where it proved through any number of different aspects of just life and intellect and things, that 30 conspiracies that were thought to be conspiracies at the time were not turned out to not be conspiracies, to be exactly what people were saying, and that people that are conspiracy theorists are generally just more intelligent than other people. So you give yourselves a pat on the back because we're a rare breed and we're very, very dangerous, and we could be Nazis.
Well, the conspiracy theorists are the ones that ask questions, the ones that don't believe what they're told, the ones who try to dig deeper. Now, there's conspiracy theorists, and then there's conspiracy theorists, though. Yeah. I've met a lot of people that are way off the mark. That
some of them are just fear-mongers.
Look at stuff, though, and sometimes, I don't know, create things that make me go, huh.
Yeah, well, even if they just said, like, they could say that, I don't believe the official John F. Kennedy assassination story. It could have been aliens from Mars. But at least they said, I don't believe what you're saying. Whereas these other people that laugh at you, call you a like what Zori just said, people don't want to step outside of that circle of convenience. They say, what they're really saying is, why don't you just go ahead and be a good, mindless fucking slave and just believe what they say, because it's just easier and it's more convenient to be a fucking slave.
And yes, we've been trained to be lazy. Mm-hmm. We have been trained not to use our brains. You know what? You could sit and drool in front of a television, and that's much more enjoyable than trying to read about genetics and understand what an RNAi virus or vaccination is, right? It's easier to go put on fucking Snooki. Eat your Cheetos, your GMO Cheeto corn.
Jules, you know what I was thinking? You should absolutely create a Facebook page that deals exactly, completely with this RNA stuff and all these things that they're doing. Just a page completely dedicated to that.
I have one.
Okay, good.
The Before the First Cup page. That's what it's kind of become, is all the crazy DARPA tech and nanotech. It's fed into right under the chat on ucy.tv/BTFC for the people who don't have Facebook. Okay. I have the feed there, but there is a page that I put most of that on.
Good, because that's totally, that's something that I hear you talking about quite a bit, and it's so spot on, and it's so like right to the point of where all this stuff is going to go. I mean, they're under a medical emergency, they're going to make people take something that is literally going to just completely rewire the human race.
Well, they even said that. RT had that clip, Human 2.0. Yeah. And I mean, listen to anything from Kurzweil, that new interview I just played yesterday. I mean, it's coming. They're working on it, and it is like we're going to become godlike. That's what he said.
Internal terraforming.
We're going to become godlike.
And I mean, watch any science program right now that's on any of the science networks on cable. That's all they're talking about. They're talking about the next evolution of humans is to merge with the machine. This is what it's all about.
They're going to turn us into
cell
cell phones.
No, they absolutely are.
What more of a beautiful thing can you even think of as being turned into half fucking cell phone?
Augmented reality.
Yeah.
We're going to have assistants that are little tiny microscopic chips that they put in our head. It's going to be a computer assistant that links us to the machine in our head.
Yeah, they're coming out with an infant cell phone plan where as you walk into the, when you walk into that area where all the babies, the newborns are, they're all going to have cell phones like stuck to the side of their head, and they'll be able to extract the baby's thoughts. So you'll be able to know exactly what they're thinking within the first half hour.
Well, you're right about the Borg. This swarm technology. Yep. I mean, we've been talking about this since the days of the robo-bees. And I had just heard over the weekend, early hours of the morning, maybe 6 a.m., I had on NPR, and they had, I think I talked about this yesterday, they had two engineers, and one was some sort of geneticist, and one was someone that is studying at MIT, working on all the swarm technology, and how, they've gotten these down to the level of nano-sized replicating freaking robots, and now they are, I mean, we actually looked probably 6 months or so ago, the first time that they've created a little engine inside of a cell with this stuff. And I mean, the dude, the geneticist says, yeah, our two fields are merging. Oh, and I mean, and they were like, rubbing all over each other. Like, this is such an exciting thing. I really think the end is going to be, man, there's going to be a few of us that know that this is coming, that we're going to be the holdouts, the last biological, clunky old entities. I want to be a biological entity.
Invasion of the body snatchers.
Sure
they're
is.
all looking for you.
Sure is. Yeah. And nobody gets it. They don't get it. This is the end game, people. Once they start getting chips in your head and chips in your blood and chips in all your cells, all it takes is flipping a switch and you're done.
That's right.
Most of the people are
saying it for
out there that we
years.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for years.
Oh, what? Johnny wants wings? Sure, we'll augment Johnny with wings. This is not good shit.
People are out there and they hear, like, not what we're saying, because then that would frighten them, but justifiably, but they're hearing all these things, all this high tech stuff, and they see all the movies and all the things that technology could be good for, but they don't realize the malicious, nefarious side of it, and they're just like, I'm so turned on by this.
Well, hey, if we had
this is such a turn on.
If we had beings of white light and goodness that were running the world, who were unleashing this technology on all of us to make us this ethereal society that doesn't need to work anymore or to eat, and all we could do is love and create and be wonderful, I might be all for it, man.
Make crippled people walk.
Right.
Right.
But it isn't a global society run by white light people of goodness, okay? It is not.
Right.
Exactly.
A world of fucking psychopaths.
It's just the opposite.
They always introduce it as, this is going to help in this way, but they never show the dark side.
And the thing is, we said in the very beginning, and now I'm seeing it coming out in a bunch of different publications, when we were first raising an eyebrow as to why the hell we are sending 300 troops to Africa to battle Ebola. Think about it. Again, human testing. What do they do to soldiers? What did they do in 91? They injected them all with squalene anthrax vaccine that wasn't tested on people.
Right. What I was thinking the other day, when I keep on thinking about the troops, like you said, that they sent over there, maybe they got injected.
I'm sure they did.
Of testing.
They did. I know they did.
How they were going to react to being in that area.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Oh, there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. How did they have 2 doses for the doctors and then run out?
I don't believe this. I believe this Doctors Without Borders, they're also in that report that I read on Sunday. they're also tied in with Techmira. And it's quite possible that this Brantley guy never had fucking Ebola at all, and they brought him back to, to make it look like, oh yeah, there is a cure.
Well, that's why I want to know why CNN or whoever, even RT, doing a Skype call if they're afraid to get near. Why aren't they interviewing the guy as the first person with this new drug who is miraculously cured?
But he also had blood transfusions.
Well, they actually did all kinds of stuff with his DNA and inserted it into things and, sucked out bad blood. But I don't care. Why aren't they interviewing him?
Because they don't want him to say something out of crisis actor mode.
Well, yeah.
Wouldn't
you think that would be ratings central? Like whoever could get the scoop on this guy would get and trying to allay fears in America. Wouldn't you get the doctor who is cured by this drug that's supposed to be coming now, maybe in 2015, right?
It's a ruse.
It's gotta be. It's gotta.
Yeah.
But I will tell you this. Go to nomorefakenews.com. Read if I know you do a lot of research there. Go to nomorefakenews.com and read John Rappaport's blog about this stuff because he's got a lot of really interesting. He kind of acknowledges things, but he also like how to manufacture a fake pandemic, how to do this, how to do that. So there's definitely nefarious things coming, but I think that maybe if you look into his blog, it'll on some level, and I remember when this H1N1 thing came out, and when we know what we know, we realize that we think, hey, is this the hammer that they're dropping? Is this blah blah blah, right? So generally, I don't know about you, but I think that in your mind, when you realize that that we're being murdered, okay? There's just no what Jonestein says is absolutely true over these years, and other people, they're killing us slowly.
But you know what? They're making money on us as guinea pigs while they're doing it.
True. So,
and that's really all we're worth anymore. Our economy's in shambles. But R&D as a line item on a profit loss statement is a huge number. So if these companies don't have to pay, what did we read yesterday about that Chimerix? It was like $45 million in R&D as their line item. Well, hey, guess what? Now you don't need to pay $45 million if you're giving it in an emergency.
Right. Well, I guess what the point I was going towards was you can't help but feel like your body is going to react to the fact that that someone's trying to kill you. So right away your adrenaline's going to go up. So what I'm saying here is try to find read a little bit of Rappaport if you get her into that area, and then just try to just meditate on this stuff because I think it was probably about a year ago or like within the last year, my adrenals were through the roof.
Well,
and things like that. So the stress
you can go into adrenal failure, which I think is what I was in after all those years of working a very high stress job. But you can take care of all this stuff. All these autoimmune diseases. And I was a victim of all that. I was so damn sick for years. It's all because they've been putting experimental shit in our food since the 90s to see what would happen. Nanotech and GMOs that none of us were aware that we were ingesting. Yeah, get off all the processed food. I think it also, get yourself some diatomaceous earth, get yourself some turmeric, and start repairing your body so you can think again.
Well, I've been doing for the last 3 weeks, I've been doing carb restriction. I've been eating a lot of eggs. I think that the adrenal thing that I was dealing with it started to affect my blood sugar as well.
Well, no sugar. You're not supposed to take in any sugar at all. None of that stuff. No high glycemic fruits. None of that.
Yeah. And I feel pretty good.
Take some of that apple cider vinegar with Mother, the organic stuff. That'll get your sugar back down. That'll get your blood pressure back down and cure any heartburn.
Yeah, once you get away from the sugar and you stop, getting that programming, the craving, the mind, your brain actually, when you get sugar, it has all these chemical reactions that are can feel good but are actually
it's the
bad
same as freaking cocaine. We looked at that the one day. That high fructose corn syrup does the exact same thing. It causes that same area of the brain that has cocaine addiction to interact, and it releases like dopamine or serotonin, all the feel good chemicals, and it becomes an addiction.
Right. Absolutely.
But, you have to look at an acidic versus an alkaline body. You end up with an acidic body that makes it easy for cancer to grow. When you
exactly. Yeah. So when you remove the sugar and you start putting in things like you start taking like a, half, like a teaspoon of colloidal silver every day and things like that, these bugs and things in your body will eventually be, will be weakened and eventually killed. And then your body can really get a chance to, because these bugs, these organisms, when they start thriving in your body, they're taking dumps inside you as well.
Parasites, yeah.
Diatomaceous earth kills parasites as well. And turmeric helps repair a lot of the damage that's been done for many things, for any of these cancers. I mean, do some searches on turmeric and cancer cures.
I bought some. I bought a big old, like a $5 shaker bottle of.
Oh, good. I have one of those too. Yeah. Do it with pepper, though.
I put it on my eggs. I put turmeric and pepper on my omelets.
I put turmeric in everything I cook now, and the family loves it, so it's good. But I found a library of 1,150 studies of different cancers that it's been shown in labs, in petri dishes, with shots of the petri dishes. 24 hours, the cells are dead. It stops the blood vessels growing that grow around cancer cells to feed them. It literally gets rid of them, and they commit suicide.
Well, the thing is that these cancer enzymes, they start once they get the body makes the tumor to encapsulate the bastard cell, and then what happens is you get that cell has collagen dissolving enzymes, so that's another part of it too, and that's how it metastasizes. If you can get it to stay isolated, then you can kill it. Plus. Baking soda and maple syrup together, heated up. You take that. These bugs eat the maple syrup, but then it's been bonded with the molecules of the baking soda, and that will help kill any kind of parasite and different things that rely on an acidic base to thrive. So,
by the way, also diatomaceous earth rebuilds collagen.
There you go. Yeah, it's lysine and. There's 2 amino acids plus vitamin C. So that's why vitamin C is so critical. So you got to get your vitamin C up, and then, of course, get some of this nano silver. I think there's your Ebola cure. But I think we have to be healthy. And look at the Africans. They are very sick. They've been decimated for years. They've probably been shot up with more test vaccines from the World Health Organization than any other country.
And on that note, we got to close it up. We're at the last 15 seconds, people. Well, thank you so much, guys, for being on with us today. It was a great conversation. We'll have to do this again tomorrow, same time, same place. Make sure you stick around. It's Mr. Kevin Blanche Day. Woo! And stick around tonight. We got Mr. Chuck Ocelli. We got Drew and Chuck on at 10 p.m., so it should be a good night of radio. All right, guys. Bye. Everyone have a happy Thursday.
Thanks for hanging. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.